All right, welcome to video 2 where we're going to talk about lateral and surface areas of our pyramids, cones, and spheres. So this is our note sheet that we have for all of our formulas. So we can see that it breaks it into lateral area, surface area, volume, and it shows you a diagram and a picture of the net, which can help us out. So we're going to start off with pyramid. So just like in the last video, right, we saw that the slant height is on the outside of the shape, still perpendicular to the base, but then the height of the object is inside, but it's also perpendicular to that base, but it goes through the inside of the shape. So just like with our prisms, right, we have lateral area, which wraps around the shape, and then surface area, which is all the faces. So lateral area is still just everything but the base. Here with a pyramid, that's just one base. So we still have that perimeter, but instead of height, we have slant height. And because they're triangles, we're going to take 1/2. Because remember, the area of a triangle is 1/2 of the base times its height. And what we're being lazy here and just saying, instead of doing that individually for all of the triangles on a pyramid, we're going to do it once with the entire perimeter of the shape. So with a cone, it's very similar, right? We do the 1/2 of the perimeter times the slant height, but here they're just being a little bit quick with the formula. Because the perimeter is the circumference, so it's 1/2 of 2 times pi times radius times the slant height, and the 1/2 and the 2 cancel out. So we can still treat this like they're all very similar to each other, but we just get slightly different looking formulas. Surface area, we just add in this time only one base instead of two, because pyramids and cones only have one base. But we still, and again here, this is the base, but they just plugged it in already with it. And they even went so far as to combine those two terms to make it maybe a little bit more simple. But here we have, right, lateral area plus the base. The last one for the sphere cannot have a net because it has no flat surfaces. It has no lateral area because it has no base, right? So no base equals no lateral area, but it does have surface area. And this was one of those weird things that it just works out beautifully, that the surface area of a sphere is 4 times pi radius squared. So it's just a weird, beautiful thing in math, that the surface area has this nice clean number in it for a sphere, and a sphere is just such a weird shape. You think it would have a lot more complicatedness to it, but the beauty of that pi is that it makes things a lot more easy. So that's the areas. Volume we talked about in the previous video, but I'm going to come back to these formulas in the next video because that's going to focus on volume. But here are some practice problems. These are different from your homework, but pretty much very similar. We have some pyramids, a cone, and a sphere, so let's actually try to find the lateral area and the surface area. So to do that, we need to find the base area as well. So let's take this one at a time and work through. So first, I always just like starting with the base, right? The base is 1/2 of the base times the height. We have to look at the base carefully, right? Here, it's just at the bottom. And that triangle itself, right, if I redrew it over here, it has 5 right here, 5 on the sides, and then the dotted line through the center, if we read it carefully, is 4.3. So that means the base is 5, this one, and then the height is perpendicular to it, so that's 4.3. So we're going to get, this one's going to be a bit crazy of a decimal. We get 1/2 times 5 times 4.3, and that's 10.75. That's the area of the base. So let's do lateral area next. And our formula for that is 1/2 times the perimeter times the slant height. So if we look at this shape, we have the perimeter of this triangle, which we have 5, 5, and 5. So we add those up and we get 15. And then the slant height, we look at our picture, right? And it's this one right here, right? Because that's the dotted line that goes on the outside of the pyramid that's perpendicular to the base. So our slant height is going to be 8.1. So we can plug that into our calculator. 1/2 times 15 times 8.1, and we get 60.75. And then our unit on these, because we're talking about area, we're going to take our unit on our distances and just put the square. So that's the two areas. That's our lateral area answer. And then surface area, right? We do lateral area plus just one base, because in our picture we only have one base, right? So we would do 60.75 plus 10.75 to get 71.50 centimeters squared. So that's the two parts of the question. You need to find lateral area and surface area. So let's try that again with another pyramid. All right, here we have a square pyramid, but we still just need to do all the same steps. So I like starting with the base. The area of a rectangle or a square, you can do length times width, or because it's a square, side squared. In either case, we get 11 times 11, or 121. Here we have square inches. The lateral area is up next. It's just 1/2 times the perimeter times the slant height. So that's 1/2 perimeter. We have 11, 11. Be careful, because it's a square slash a rectangle, right? This side's also 11 inches. And the side over here is also 11 inches. So we have 11 plus 11 plus 11 plus 11. So that's 44. And the slant height, right, is going to be that it looks diagonal, but it's just this height of the actual face. So we're looking for that line that's labeled that goes up and down the face, which is that 13.2. So if we plug this into our calculator, we get 1/2 times 44 times 13.2, and we get 290.4 square inches. Our last step, so that's our lateral area. Our last step is to find the surface area, which is lateral area, so those 4 triangle faces, plus the base. So we do 290.4 plus 121, and that will be 411.4 square inches. All right, so let's just do that same process all over again. Here is we have a rectangular pyramid, right? Oh, no. I'm going to take this off your homework, right? Because we have 2 separate slant heights, it's just a bit more complicated. So we're just going to focus on the square-based pyramid. If we wanted to, we would have to break apart our lateral area. Ooh. Break apart our lateral area, right? We have 2 triangles that have the area of 1/2. The base is 8 miles, and the slant height of that one is 5.8. And then you do 2 triangles of the base is 6, and that slant height is 6.4. And you would add those 2 together. But again, we're not doing it, and I'll take it off your homework. All right, for the cone, we have a different formula, but it's still very similar, right? We do the area of the base, which here is pi r squared. So we do pi times 4 squared. So we plug that into our calculator. I'm using the pi button times 4 squared. So approximately 50.27, and that will be miles square. And then our lateral area is still 1/2 times the perimeter times the slant height. But if we look at our formula sheet, that's just pi r squared. No, sorry, pi rs. Because the circumference of the circle is 2 pi r, and the 1/2 then gets canceled out, right? 1/2, 2 pi r s, and then these cancel out. Anyways, so we get pi, the radius is 4, and the slant height is 12.6. If they gave you the diameter, make sure you divide by 2. But here they gave us the radius, so we're ready to roll. So that is approximately equal to, and again, I'm using the pi button, 158.34 miles square. And then our last step, that's our lateral area, surface area. We're going to do, again, lateral area plus 1 base, because a cone only has 1 base. So we're doing 158.34 plus 50.27. Ooh, what happened? 158.34 plus 50.27 is 366.61 miles square. All right, so that's how we find the lateral area and surface area of a cone. The last example we're going to look at is for a sphere. So for a sphere, right, if we try to follow the same steps, right, we're looking for a base. There is no base, right? So you can just write none or not applicable or just not do it. Lateral area, again, there is none. If there's no base, then there's no lateral area. It just has surface area. And our formula for that was 4 pi r squared. So we just have to look at our diagram, 4 pi, find the radius, which here they gave it to us right away, 2.9, and then squared. So I'm going to plug that into the calculator. Again, using the pi button, and I get 105.68, and our unit here is feet, so we do feet squared. So lateral area, none, it's not applicable. Surface area, 105.68. Good luck.